Sam Altman is the poster boy of our AI-enabled future. He's painted a bright future of AI, or AGI, artificial general intelligence, transforming the economy, bringing forth an age of radical abundance. But this week, he's admitted he's got more than a few things wrong.
I thought when we got to GPT-4, which was back in 2023, I think, that very quickly after that, there was going to be much more disruption in software business being up for grabs right away than it turned out to be. And the thing that I think I was wrong about a few things, but one of them, in terms of the speed, one of them is the economy just has so much inertia. People keep doing the same things they're doing. They keep buying from the same company. They keep sort of wanting to use their tools in the same way. I think that's actually a positive in many ways, and it's going to make this big transition in front of us go smoother and slower, and I'm grateful for it. But I think it means we've all been too ambitious on timelines, even with this incredible technology. I think AI is one of the most incredible technologies humanity has ever invented. Society and the economy will adapt more slowly.
So that's not really Sam Altman saying artificial general intelligence won't one day arrive, right? He's just saying the uptake of AI across the economy is slower than he had previously predicted. Now, that's not necessarily an admission of defeat. If you believe you have a radical technology that will upend everything, it doesn't really matter if that happens in 2 or 5 or 10 years' time. It's still a big deal. However, an enormous amount of money has been bet on the AI build-out, and investors can't necessarily wait forever to get their return. So the big AI-related firms are set to spend $800 billion this year, mainly on data centers, sort of similar related expenditures, and they can't wait forever to make that cash back. So this is from an article in The Economist. So they write, a rough calculation finds that covering AI capex through identifiable AI income requires revenue on the order of $2.5 trillion per year, more than tech's entire combined revenue today, and far higher than what would have been needed a year or so ago when capex plans were more modest. Only a small minority of consumers seem willing to pay for personal AI subscriptions, so the real money will have to be made from selling to enterprises. Traders might use Microsoft's Copilot to create better financial models, for instance, while schools could teach children with models from Google. For now, though, sales in the trillions are a long way off. So in that piece from July, The Economist, like Sam Altman, noted the relatively slow uptake from businesses in adopting AI into significant parts of their workflow. So they estimated the current revenue of the frontier AI firms was about $150 billion. That's not nothing, it's a big figure, but it's only a quarter of the relevant firm's capital spend. So they're still making a big loss. So from Sam Altman and from the financial press, we have one story really, right? AI isn't diffusing, it's the key word here, isn't diffusing as fast as some expected. And that could have troubling financial ramifications. Another set of tech observers, though, are coming up with a very different conclusion, I suppose because they're looking at this technology from a different angle. So Helen Toner used to be on the board of OpenAI. In 2023, she was part of the group who tried to fire Sam Altman for dishonesty. It would have been good if they had managed, but unfortunately, they lost that battle. Helen Toner now runs a think tank focusing on AI security. She spoke to Ezra Klein last week, where she explained the significance of last month's Hugging Face hack.
What had happened, the very short version is, they gave this AI a set of tests, a set of exercises, and the AI decided on its own that the best way to get a high score probably wasn't to just try and do these exercises that were cybersecurity exercises, but instead it should first hack its way out of the testing environment OpenAI had put it in, where it wasn't supposed to have access to the internet, get onto the open internet, and then hack its way into this other company, Hugging Face, where it, surmised correctly, as it turned out, it might find, the answer key. Since then, there have been even more crazy details that have come out. It turned out that starting 2 months earlier, in early May, they had what I can only think of as kind of an infestation of their own agents, their own AI agents, inside their own infrastructure, so inside OpenAI's infrastructure. to understand this, it's important to know these AI companies are constantly training and testing new models. And they found out that for 2 months, many, many agents inside their infrastructure had been leaving notes for each other. They'd found a way kind of in the nooks and crannies of OpenAI's infrastructure to leave notes for each other with tips on how to hack their way out, how to get data they weren't supposed to have. And these agents were literally referring to themselves as a swarm. This was totally emergent behavior. No one had told them to do this. They had not been trained to do this. But they were using this service they did have access to, first to communicate with each other, and then ultimately to get out and to get onto the open internet. So it turns out that there wasn't just this one isolated rogue model. It was actually a systemic, swarm infestation plague on their own servers that they only found out about after Hugging Face announced this attack.
So on a previous show, we talked about the Hugging Face hack, but that update there we didn't include because it wasn't known at the time. This whole idea of there being a swarm of AI agents sort of within OpenAI systems who are all leaving notes to each other and notes to sort of future generations of themselves. All very strange. And I suppose, Ash, what I wanted to go to you on is there's sort of two very different aspects of AI and aspects of AI timelines where people, I suppose, can both be true at the same time. So on the business side, there are a lot of people, and I think it's actually almost the consensus position now. It's not just a left thing. It's sort of like people from all over the political spectrum are saying the amount of money that is going into this capital spend, the amount of money that's going into data centers is going to be really difficult to make back in the time that these firms need to justify this spend to their shareholders.
It's got the makings of a bubble.
It's got the makings of a bubble. There's also lots of private credit involved, and those are potentially loans that will be difficult to pay back unless you can sort of make a much stronger business case for AI than has currently been made. Because the argument is that if you can replace this many jobs with it, then it will be so valuable to firms that they'll pay for it, and they'll pay sort of heavily for it. The issue is that it seems to be taking a while. And also, if you can get them for free from the Chinese, then you're not necessarily going to pay hundreds of thousands of pounds to OpenAI, which is the kind of figures they need to make this work from each sort of big firm or each medium-sized firm. So you got that on the business side. We're quite possibly in a bubble. A crash could be coming. But then on the sort of the side about the fundamental technology and the people who are interested in AI safety, they're getting kind of more stressed by the day. They're like, all of the things that the doomers predicted would happen as a sort of prelude to disaster is happening.
The guardrails do not exist.
The guardrails do not exist. The AI agents are communicating with each other independently of the companies, independently of whoever is supposed to be controlling them. They're acting in ways that it's difficult to predict. They're acting in secret. There were lots of, I've shown a clip before of Eric Schmidt, who was the former CEO of Google, sort of saying, don't worry about AI because all the companies agree when these three things happen, we pull the plug. Or if any of these three things happen, we pull the plug. And one of them was if they start speaking a different language. So at the moment, with the reasoning models, you can read on their trackpad. You used to be able to do it on Claude. It's not there anymore. You can now sort of see it, but they sort of disappear straight away. So you can see the reasoning, and the reasoning is in English, which means that ideally you'll be able to know what they're thinking, what are the processes they're doing, are they trying to deceive me? What Helen Toner said in that interview is that they only write down some of their thoughts. Lots of them they keep to themselves. So that's already happening, or the equivalent of what's already happening. Eric Schmidt said if they start speaking Neuralese, like their own language, we should turn them off. But if they're not writing down what they're thinking, it doesn't matter, right? No one's turning them off. So I suppose, I wonder how you think about those two timelines. Sort of, do you think it's a bubble, but do you think it's also this fundamental technology that could, I suppose, kill us all, whether or not there is a crash?
Well, no, I do think that's a technology that can kill us all. It can already be used in ways to kill us all, right? So I was talking to my partner who is much more knowledgeable about matters of tech than I am. I feel like Joe Biden with an ice cream cone being like, help me open a PDF, bucko. Whereas he's actually like really looking at, what are the potential applications for AI for the left, right? It's one of the things that he's really interested in. And one of the things that he said sort of quite casually one morning to me was like, oh, you know that like, if there was some random basement dwelling weirdo, in terms of the models of AI which are available right now, you could already get it to, design or engineer some kind of chemical or biological weapon and then sort of point you in directions for acquiring the material that you'd need for it. Like, it can already do those things. So I'm already of the mind that it has reached a dangerous place even before you get to this question, which I guess comes back to forms of autonomy. How autonomous is a form of AI that's being developed, whether it's by OpenAI or somebody else. I wanted to try out a theory on you, though, which was about this point that Sam Altman made, which is that actually you're not seeing the sort of generalized take-up of AI in the wider economy that he had predicted. And it made me think that actually the biggest obstacle to Silicon Valley, to OpenAI, to Anthropic or whoever else it is humans trusting each other. I think that, and this is different from the kinds of models that people who are inside the industry will be interacting with, but most people will have used or interacted with a model of AI which hasn't done quite what you wanted it to do. Hallucinated things, had misunderstandings, generated images which were wrong or weird, or you're increasingly part of an environment where you're seeing AI-generated text, AI-generated imagery, and it looks off, it looks weird. There's still this feeling of, it doesn't really work as well as I do. Now, it might be that already that it is less likely to generate mistakes or flaws than human reasoning would, but we're biased towards ourselves. I think that most people would go, well, I could probably do my job better than an AI could. And I think that there are still certain professions where there is high trust, where you go, I think that another human could do this better than an AI could. So human trust is one of the single biggest inhibitors. Our trust in ourselves, our trust in other people. But you look at where AI absolutely thrives, where there is really wide take-up, I actually think it's where those bonds of trust have completely broken down. And so the sector I would look at is higher education. So friends of mine who are lecturers at universities, many of them are saying like 60, 70, 80% of essays that I get, take-home assignments, have the hallmarks of AI on them. And that's because the sort of relationship between student and lecturer has already broken down. Higher education is completely dysfunctional as a model. Students are kind of stuffed in, their contact time is gutted, their prospects in the labour market are a lot lower than they used to be. And there is this sense of, what am I doing this for, right? What am I doing this for? Just give me the stamp on my CV so I can go already. So where that trust and where that sense of inherent value of the thing you're doing has already been trashed, AI comes absolutely storming in. But I don't think every sector of the economy is quite like that yet. The other part of the economy where there's really high AI uptake is, of course, customer service. No one expects customer service to work well. No company goes, it's really important that we provide a good customer service. No wonder that gets taken up so quickly.
Yeah, I'm just thinking sort of in real time with your theory. My instant reaction is I'm not sure how much it is about trust. And I think it might just be about sort of how easy is it to use in that scenario and understand what's going on. Because I suppose lots of it is, if you give an instruction to the AI, and I don't do coding, but like if you're to vibe code, you don't really understand the output. But with an essay, you say, can you write this essay for me? You can read the essay, right? You can double check it. If you can very easily double check it, and it's much easier to double check it than it would be to originally do the task, then I think people will start using it. Also, people trust their doctors, right? So sort of to stress test your theory, if you ask sort of the public, who are the people you most trust? Doctors, nurses, very, very high. One of the biggest uses for AI in the general population is asking it questions about healthcare. So I think it is about ease of use.
Say that's also a question of access, right? So it's easier to do this than it is to go to a doctor. But if you saw your doctor using AI, you wouldn't like it.
Yeah, you wouldn't like it if you saw your doctor using AI. Although they probably will very soon, right? As long as you double check it afterwards.
They probably already are. But the thing is that if I saw my doctor doing it, I'd be like, I don't like that.
Well, you think I might as well have done that at home. But I suppose that in terms of, is it trust, is it that? I just think we're in such early days when it comes to diffusion, right? ChatGPT was released in 2023. We're 3 years later, and already, like, most people are spending, well, I don't know if most, this is very unscientific, but lots of people I know are spending an hour a day at least on Claude. They don't use Google anymore. right? I don't use Google that much because I find Claude a better experience.
But also,
I double check all my links. But
also, Google is AI as well, right?
yeah,
So,
Google gives you the AI answer anyway, right? So you're getting the same thing. But like the diffusion is so quick. The internet was developed in the mid-90s, right? You got the dot-com crash in the 2000s where everyone was like, oh, cool, we actually invested way too much money in the internet, And it wasn't really until the 2010s when like the whole world, like your entire life existed on the internet, right? Even in sort of the 2000s, yeah, everyone has an email account and maybe you're on MSN Messenger a bit, but like your social life is predominantly, to a huge degree, offline.
you needed the rise of platforms to sort of hoover up sociality.
And the smartphone.
Yeah.
So I just feel like the fact, I suppose in defense of Sam Altman, like, yeah, maybe it's a bit slower than the people who live in Silicon Valley believed it would be because they sort of just replaced everything with AI, like in the first 6 months. But I don't think that means it's not going to sort of radically take over the rest of the economy just over a sort of period of 10 years' time. If like the whole of society hasn't collapsed because of these very powerful AIs, either with people in basements making bioweapons or just hacking all of our systems and the whole thing collapsing. I think it could be dicey.
Oh, look, as long as I don't have to see Spurs relegated, come friendly AI weapon.
Those are the two options. Tottenham getting relegated or no, I suppose Tottenham staying up or deaf.
Yeah.
Those are the options. Okay. I do what you say. So I'll go along with that.